Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
I'm with Gowher Rizvi, the very influential international affairs advisor of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh. Mr. Rizvi is in Delhi with the Prime Minister, and we are very lucky to have him for a few minutes. Mr. Rizvi, welcome to ThePrint.
Thank you.
You are an old friend of Delhi. You've lived here for many years, but you've also been back now as Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's very close confidant. Tell me, what is the relationship like between India and Bangladesh today?
If I were to say that it is the best that it ever has been, you will probably say this is a cliche.
Of course it is.
It isn't. The reality is, not only over the last 10 years, Bangladesh and India have resolved all their outstanding disputes. There is no dispute between the two countries.
No dispute at all.
No, I'll come back to this if you want to talk about it.
And the NRC?
NRC is not an issue at all for Bangladesh.
Okay.
So we can come back to it and talk at length.
Sure.
It's as good as it has ever been for two reasons. One is there is a mutuality of interests. Bangladesh may be a small country, but it is important to India because of our common purposes. In the second place, when we talk to India, we do not negotiate in the traditional way, you give me this, I will give me this, or this is my demand. What we say, here is a problem and we need we must work together to find the solution.
So how does this happen between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina? How do they deal with each other?
They deal with each other because they have extreme trust in each other. And Prime Minister Modi sees Sheikh Hasina is a force of stability in the region. She is uncompromising with terrorists. And she has made neighbors and sub-region as a top priority through connectivity. So this fits in very nicely with Mr. Modi's thing.
So they get along? Do they get along? Do the two prime ministers
get along as I can rarely see two leaders who get along so well. Sometimes we joke and say that they get along like a house on fire. They have such shared mutuality. Obviously, there must be differences of domestic priorities, how they handle domestic, but that's not a concern that we have.
Right. So that's an interesting thing to say, that you say that Prime Minister Modi and Sheikh Hasina get along like a house on fire.
Yes, and there's it's a relationship between based on deep trust and common outlook, vision, hopes for the future of this region.
But you know, you have a long memory, Mr. Rizvi, and you probably remember what happened after the creation of this brand new state of Bangladesh, and it was the Congress party that was in power, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And with the Congress party, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's Awami League, your Awami League, has a very close relationship as well. But you're saying with the BJP now, that's an even better relationship.
Because it gets better every year. Initially, we had a lot of areas to overcome. Now that we have overcome, we are building on that. A lot of people think Awami League has a closer relationship with in foreign policy
with the Congress.
In foreign policy, it is the national interest that takes the first place. So our national interest and that of the Indian government are allied. That's why I said mutuality of purpose, outlook, shared global vision, and a belief that it is in the interest of the two countries to resolve their problems. When we are two neighbors, there are bound to be irritations here and there, but we don't make it an issue.
So is the NRC, is that a big irritation between the relationship?
NRC is a domestic issue for India. No Indian has told us, no Indian leader in authority has told us that the end result of this is to expel allegedly Bangladeshis. We don't even know if there are any illegal Bangladeshis in India. We don't even know that. We have never been told that. What you are doing is a judicial process. Judiciary is driving this national register because it has been hanging around for
No, but what has the Prime Minister told Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina?
This is exactly what he said, that it is a judicially driven process, and it is a very old, I believe 1986 or 1987.
Even earlier than that, it's been going on for the
For-
last 40, 50 years.
And the judiciary felt that the executive was not pursuing this. So this process has to go on, and this executive branch of the government has no power over it. Second thing is, this is the beginning of a process. Very, very early stages of a process. There are 3 or 4, maybe even 5 steps to go. And we have already noticed that those who were excluded as outsiders or non-Indians, I'm not saying they were non-Bengalis or not. In the second round, many more have gone through the vetting process.
The list has come down to 1.9 lakh
Yes.
people.
So it is diminishing.
Yes.
We were told in tens of millions people around. We have seen that it is nothing like that. Finally, if the process is exhausted and your government decides that so-called illegals will be expelled, they have to come and talk to us.
Who has to talk to you?
Government of India has to talk to us.
Okay.
Look, there are a small number of Bangladeshis who are illegal in different parts of Europe and other countries. Bangladesh has a very open policy. If they are illegal and we can establish
That they are illegal.
they are our citizens, and we are readily taking them back. We have established process in Bangladesh. We do not throw our citizens illegally on others.
So Prime Minister Modi has assured Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina that there are no Bangladeshi illegals in...
Now here, process to conclude,
Okay.
for you to say or me to agree
Right.
that there are no illegal Bangladeshi. What I am saying is, we have a government policy. Suppose there are 1, 2, 10, 100.
So what about now Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the NRC will also be applicable in West Bengal. And West Bengal and Bangladesh share a long border, and there's clearly a lot of infiltration from Bangladesh into West Bengal.
Firstly, you use the word clearly.
Okay.
I doubt it. You know, in a country like Bangladesh now.
Shall I say allegedly?
Allegedly,
The BJP says, okay, let me rephrase that. The BJP says there's a lot of infiltration from Bangladesh into West Bengal, and that there must be an NRC and these Bangladeshis must be expelled.
Firstly, again, as you said, thank you for qualifying it allegedly. And as I have already said, if there's a genuinely somebody, you can prove that this is a person is a Bangladeshi, we go through our consular people to check it out. As we have done with other countries, we will do the same. But as yet, as far as an Indian minister saying all sorts of possible actions, our answer is very simple. They are talking to the people of India. They are not talking to the people of Bangladesh or to the government of Bangladesh. So if we are to respond, and we have not, and we do not intend to, we will be interfering in your internal process.
So Amit Shah is speaking to the people of India, and you're saying this is a domestic Indian problem.
Yeah. When the Foreign Minister of India, the Prime Minister of India will raise this issue with us, we will talk. We have raised it, and we have been reassured that this is a judicial process which will take its time, and then only we can talk about it. It's far away, and as I said, if we are satisfied. There is another thing which I want to now tell the people of India.
Sure.
You know, at a time for last 10 years, we have had sustained economic growth in the region of 7.5 to 8 plus.
You're the brightest spark in South Asia. That's very clear.
You know, foreign investors are coming, jobs are being created. We are now domestically feeling that we could do with some focus. That's why we're investing more on the skills development of our people, because they are very productive people, which we should be able to utilize in our economy.
So you're saying that there's no need for Bangladeshis to leave the country and come to India?
People, usually there's a pull factor and a push factor. The push factor is not there. There are plenty of opportunity. Even people who live and work in Western Europe and North America are returning to Bangladesh in large numbers, because that's where the opportunity is.
So the BJP in India is assured from the Prime Minister downwards, Foreign Minister Jaishankar, Mr. Ram Madhav, who's in charge of the Northeast, where the alleged infiltration is taking place. You're saying they are assured by you and by Prime Minister Hasina that there is no such infiltration?
I will not preempt a finding. To say that there are no infiltration would suggest I know there isn't. I have no way of knowing it. You will have to give us evidence.
Mr. Rizvi, you're far too smooth and sophisticated for me.
I hope I'm not smooth.
You're very, very sophisticated. But let me ask you another question. And this is about the several pacts that were signed between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Hasina, including the one, and this collaboration includes a coastal radar surveillance system. Why do you need one?
Every country must prepare to defend its own territory. Our coastline is pretty open, and we are currently very much left to protecting our thing through stationary stations or aerial surveillance. India has developed extremely high technology, in many cases superior to the ones that exist in the West. So, as we share intelligence with the two countries, we are also sharing this possibility of getting these radar surveillances. It is definitely directed against India. Definitely not. Otherwise, why would India be giving us this?
Exactly.
Nor do we think India is interested in keeping surveillance. We have a shared desire to keep outsiders, those who are from outside the region.
Who are these outsiders?
Any country outside the region have no business in our territory. That is why we will protect our sovereignty. We will safeguard our territory.
Do you have such a close relationship with China?
Indeed. I'm not saying that. Any case, first let me say the sea coast or maritime radars have nothing to do with China. There is no sea.
No, but let me ask you, your relationship with China, where,
of course it is very
where
good.
President Xi Jinping came 2 or 3 years ago and cut a check of $26 billion, and
yes,
this
yes.
26 plus 3, so 29 billion.
Yes.
And they're also selling you submarines. Why does Bangladesh need submarines?
Now, you know, every country wants to be in a position to protect its sovereignty. Your assumption is this for use against India? Utter rubbish. No.
Okay.
On the other hand, certain amount of security is required. Our fishermen, we have our maritime area has increased enormously, etc. So these are as contingency. You make contingency plans. India has given large number of submarines, I believe, to Myanmar. Please offer us. We will take them.
Okay.
You know,
So they haven't offered you before?
No. And I'm saying here on this, in your program, if you offer us, and if we feel that this is what we need, we will. India is our natural ally, shared common interest. Hurting Bangladesh will hurt India. A prosperous, stable Bangladesh, democratic, secular, fits in with your expectations of Bangladesh, as we do of yours.
That's two questions. A democratic, secular Bangladesh, and you are one, you have a large Hindu minority as well. But it seems to many of us in Delhi that the government's treatment or the Awami League's treatment of the BNP former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia has not been very kind. That on a case of or alleged corruption of a very small value, that she has been thrown into jail and not treated well at all.
I have a great deal of sympathy and I will express it formally. But let me first correct, it is not a minor and it is not alleged. It has gone through the subordinate judiciary judges, through to High Court, to the appellate division, and then a judicial review. And all along the process, the judges, they are our law, they are our judiciary, and they have found that some crime was committed. So to say that she has been put in prison because she is an opposition leader, I think is the sort of thing Western countries might.
But she is a former Prime Minister. Surely you can treat her more kindly than give her a jail with, with terrible again, conditions.
And firstly, we can talk about the terrible conditions. First thing to is you are suggesting that Bangladesh should not preserve its rule of law.
No, I'm not suggesting that
then,
at all.
Then why?
No, I'm just saying that surely
should there be a separate? Believe me, I have a deep human sympathy for what, and I hope
for Khaleda Zia.
Yeah. And I hope we will be able to find a way that would lead to her release or parole or something. But as yet, it hasn't happened, and I don't know what process is going on behind the scene to make that happen. And I will also tell you, there is no inhuman or harsh treatment. For a good part of the time, she has been in a hospital receiving treatment. Every type of medication, meals are being prepared according to her. Teams of doctors have been set up to monitor her. So to describe this as harsh or inhuman, I think is wrong.
And to ask you another question, you talked about democratic and secular Bangladesh and a democratic and secular India. In Bangladesh, the Hindu minority has been diminishing over the years since '71, since the creation of Bangladesh.
It is true. I will concede that it is true. A large number of Hindus had fled. In fact, out of every 10 persons who took shelter in India in 1971, I would estimate, not accurate, but I would estimate 7 out of 10 were Hindus. We all know that very large, when I say bulk have returned, very large number have returned to Bangladesh. There is always a sense of insecurity amongst minorities. And this is not a communal thing, sectarian thing, which it is. It is, power relationship in rural areas. Whenever anybody is weak, there's a temptation to grab their land. When BNP was in power, Hindus or Muslims, they were accused of having grabbed land. Likewise, currently we are being accused that our party members are grabbing land.
That's right.
But I can promise you that whenever such a report comes, and I personally make sure it is investigated, the Prime Minister has assured and told the officials that there is to be no no concession here. And last happy news which I can give you, and it is really to me happy news because we believe it's a fundamental tenet of Awami League and the pro-liberation spirit, is we value our minority communities. And happy news is the numbers are actually increasing.
There are more Hindus that are coming back to Bangladesh.
There are more Hindus in India today, in Bangladesh today, than there were, say, 4 or 5 years ago. The numbers are actually increasing. Whether it is natural growth of population, etc.,
right,
I would not be able to say. because opportunities are there in Bangladesh.
So what is it? There's an NRC angle to this as well, to this Hindu-Muslim angle. Of course, the NRC angle within India is that there are more Hindus on that list than Muslims. So the concern, how does it fit into this concern for minorities inside Bangladesh?
As I have said, if it can be conclusively demonstrated, Hindu or Muslim, he is a Bangladeshi national or illegal in your country, we are pledged to take them. We don't make any distinctions between Hindus and Muslims, none whatsoever, because we do not want to create a situation where sectarian strife in Bangladesh is very rare.
But do you feel that that the government of India is making a difference between Hindus and Muslims?
That I would not know. This is a question that you'll have to pose to your ministers.
No, you're a neighboring country. If you feel so connected with India, I'm sure you have a view.
As I have said earlier, and I'm not trying to be slick or smart, nothing of that sort.
So you're Prime Minister, you're going home from this visit. Are you happy and satisfied with the pacts that have been signed, with your conversation with Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government?
We're extremely happy. The reason for that is our focus is joint, that over these years, India has offered us a large line of credit.
Including 500 million on a defense line of creditors line.
And
so you can buy your submarines now.
No, you have given free submarines to Myanmar, and therefore we expect twice as many.
But is that a concern? Is there a China concern in India? Seems to me that there is some concern in India that Bangladesh is growing closer to China.
Perceptions are often uninformed. So if you are talking about perception, probably there is. But my point is, we have an extreme, this is something people must understand, that yes, China has a lot of commercial interest in Bangladesh. They would like to get more contracts, more projects, development projects, etc. And they also want to see a stable and prosperous Bangladesh. Now, this is exactly what India wants to do. See a stable and prosperous Bangladesh. A stable, prosperous, democratic, plural, secular Bangladesh is in the interest of everyone. So it's not a question of tilting.
So India should not be concerned?
Of course not. I sincerely do not believe that the Indian leadership has any concerns.
So you're saying there should not be a tilt from your side?
There will not be. There has not been. Our Prime Minister is very, very concerned. She is not going to be pushed over or rolled over by anybody. Whatever is in our interest, we have to have a good relationship with our neighbors. And the proof of it is, despite the hostile actions by the government of Myanmar, we have not shown any hostility. On the contrary, we are constantly trying to improve relationship with Myanmar as well. So that's the centrality of our foreign policy.
Well, you've clearly had a good visit. Prime Ministers Modi and Hasina get along like a house and fire. And Bangladesh, between China and India, on either side, you can't have a better story going. Mr. Rizvi, thank you so much for speaking to ThePrint.
Thank you, Jyoti. I'm really happy for your questions, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to clarify some of these issues.
Thank you so much. This is Jyoti Malhotra. Please continue to watch the YouTube channel. It's live and live.